When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does online business better than Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/income.
This episode is brought to you by Audi. The road is calling. Embrace the thrill of the drive with the all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron. Featuring effortless power, serious acceleration, and advanced Audi tech. It's not just a new EV. It's a new way to experience driving. The all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron is here. The next chapter of Audi starts now.
Hello, it's Gareth. It's Tuesday, the 1st of April, 2025. And yes, this is the Somewhere on Earth podcast. And with us today is Anya, the excellent Anya. Here we go again. You all right, Anya?
I'm good, thank you very much. 1st of April, April Fools.
Yes.
All around the world.
That's interesting, yeah. And is it all around the world? Because we know it seems like a very British thing. I wonder, our listeners might be able to tell us if they have April Fools in their country. Or is it just the UK that has it? And maybe that says something about the British psyche.
In Poland, it's called Prima Aprilis.
Oh, okay. All right, fair play.
Yes,
you do have it.
Yeah. And it's similar rules. So, up till midday. After that, forget it. That kind of thing. So, yeah. And there have been some pretty good Polish jokes over the years that obviously I can't remember any of them now, but obviously the famous British one is the spaghetti growing on trees news report.
Yes. Brilliant. So timeless. I don't know. For me, every day's April Fool's Day. It feels like it sometimes for me. Anyway, there you go. So, dear listener, do you have April Fool's Day where you live? Let us know. Or is it that you think you don't, but everyone's in on the joke and you're not? It could be that as well. Okay, here we go. And coming up today. So we are proud partners of the Evergreen podcast community, right? Where evergreen is a bit of a media term that refers to content that stays fresh, so you can listen to it at any time, as if the content had been wrapped in some special packaging, keeping it fresher than maybe with any old packaging. And wouldn't you just know it, today we're talking about the story of nanotechnology and the startup that's keeping your food fresh for longer. Yes, that was the world's most convoluted link, I know that, but hey, sometimes this stuff just writes itself. Also today, how to do good by simply pressing a button, and we discuss the tips to make you self-reliant and successful, and maybe even happy. That's all right here on the Somewhere on Earth podcast. Right then, so let's start with AI. In fact, maybe let's not start with AI for a change. Yes, people, we bring you an entirely AI-free first item. Don't get to say that every day. I mean, nothing against the old machine learning, of course, but hey, let's go crazy and talk about, food packaging, and meet the startup that's developed a material that's biodegradable and keeps your food fresher. Now, that may not sound particularly exotic, but before you ask us to stick to good old AI, please know that this material we're talking about today is at the forefront of nanotechnology. This is chemical engineering for grown-ups, in which silver nanoparticles do the keeping food fresh bit. The startup behind the profound packaging is called Metalchemy, and they were the winning startup at the recent Doha Web Summit. To be honest, I'd have just given them the first prize just for the Metalchemy name that ingeniously combines metal with alchemy. Anyway, I've been speaking to CEO Federico Trotta.
So at Metalchemy, we developed a novel way to double the shelf life of perishable food products. So from cheeses to meat to fresh produce, you name it. So we developed a really cool tech which allows us to stop food waste and save money and the environment.
So your technology is all about biodegradable and recyclable packaging materials, isn't it?
Yeah.
So tell me a bit more about these materials.
Yeah, of course. So what we developed is an active ingredient, which is an antimicrobial product based on silver that you can coat on different packaging products. It can be on plastics, it can be on bioplastics, which are fully biodegradable, as well as paper-based products. And basically what it does, it kills the bacteria, the molds which cause food to degrade. It's like mold on strawberries or mold on your bread. So it delays the process of that growing and therefore extend the shelf life of food.
What's the relationship between tiny particles of silver and keeping food fresh?
Basically, how it works is that the silver has been known as an active antimicrobial for centuries. Well, ancient Romans actually used silver as an antimicrobial. Also, in the 21st century and the 20th century, we used a lot of antimicrobials silver as an antimicrobial up until we had antibiotics. So once, we had penicillin at the start of the 20th century, we moved to sort of chemistry-based antibiotics because that was way more scalable and also cheaper to make. So how it works is pretty much like an antibiotic. It kills the bacteria, it kills the molds, same sort of principle of how it works, and therefore it helps extend the shelf life. But the cool bit is that it's in the packaging, not on the food itself. What we promote at the company is really getting healthier nutrition, healthier foods with less preservatives and antibiotics embedded in the foods themselves, but rather in the packaging so that we don't eat the antibiotics or the preservatives.
Given that silver is involved, albeit obviously in tiny quantities, but doesn't that just make the packaging very expensive?
Not really, because we need, as you just said, like really, really tiny quantities to be applied as a coating on the packaging. So we're talking about, parts per million or even parts per billion of silver. And we need this little amounts of silver just because we're using, as we said before, nanoparticles. So since these are really tiny particles, they have really large surface area to volume ratio. Therefore, like you could be spanning, thousands of square meters just with a really little amount of silver, which is pretty much the superpower we have with these novel technologies.
And we're trying to move away from plastics, aren't we? So is there any benefit from your material as far as all that's concerned? I mean, is it plastic of sorts? Is it biodegradable? Is it harmful for the environment?
No, so basically our particles can be, we already have silver actually in our day-to-day. Humans consume silver on a day-to-day basis as a baseline on our food because silver is everywhere. It's not something that, it's really avoidable on our day-to-day. And there is already an infrastructure in place to capture silver from our wastewaters and many different sources. Since we're using silver in such tiny amounts in packaging, the packaging is fully recyclable. So any plastic we embed in, we make sure that the plastic is then fully recyclable so we can have multiple uses of the plastics. And then we can also embed in bioplastics, which are fully biodegradable. We also published a paper which shows that our materials are fully biodegradable, both in water, in seawater, and landfill. And we can also put into paper packaging materials coating so that those as well are fully biodegradable in landfill and seawater.
How much more shelf life does it give your products? Can you quantify it in any way?
Yes, we did quantify it on different food products. It can up to double the shelf life, but it depends on the food product. So some food products perform better, some a little less. But we tested on cheese, we tested on protein, like chicken, beef, mincemeats, and also we tested on fresh produce like vegetables, tomatoes. We also tested on grapes, mushrooms. So quite a big portfolio of products that we tested on, and we had really positive results. We want to do more research in this field so that we can get more data and quantify better. But overall, we can up to double the shelf life of the products.
Is the packaging available already, or is it still in development?
Just before we went to the Web Summit, we shipped around 0.5 ton of packaging for processing. So we're doing commercial pilots with very big brands here in the UK. And hopefully by the end of this year, we'll be in the shelves. So we're moving really fast towards commercialization and actually bringing the benefits of longer shelf life to everyone.
How unique is this? Because, I mean, if even I could have probably invented this. I'm just saying, obviously I'm not casting aspersions, but I'm thinking, well, if the Romans knew about silver, right, it's not much of a stretch of imagination to embed little particles of it in packaging. And I'm thinking, oh, I could have come up with that. So what's the secret sauce then? Why haven't I come up with it and you have?
So nanoparticles, especially, and nanotechnology is something which has been in the development for the past 20 years, really 20, 30 years. There's been a big boom of nanotechnologies and nanoparticles. The problem with this industry is that conventionally they use extremely toxic processes to make these nanoparticles. They haven't invented any green process to manufacture these at scale, which would be consumer friendly. So what we did in Metalchemy, we patented a novel process using plants to make nanoparticles, which is really our secret sauce, because by using plants, you avoid all the toxic chemicals. It's much cheaper, it's much more scalable, and also more environmentally friendly to produce these nanomaterials and therefore make them into consumer goods. So today we're talking about, packaging products, but you can well imagine, to use your nanoparticles for medical applications, for wound healing. You could also use them for, product preservation, consumer goods. You can use them in many different fields because they have no toxic chemicals when we make them, as opposed to conventional methods, which are very toxic, not scalable, and really environmentally unfriendly when we put them at larger scale of production.
That's Federico Trotta at Metalchemy. So what about these nanoparticles, Adanya?
Well, when it comes to nanoparticles, it's their size that gives them their special properties. For example, silver nanoparticles that Federico was talking about there have longer lasting antibacterial properties than bigger particles of silver. Now, I have a horrible habit of not taking my jewellery off when I'm recording. That was my silver bracelet because silver properties, antibacterial properties, have been known about for a long time. And another Polish thing, silver jewellery keeps you healthy. And because these nanoparticles are so tiny, we can have them in lots and lots of things. So they are in our socks, for instance. So that's why you don't tend to get smelly socks anymore in some countries, because it kills the bacteria and bad smells.
Oh, quick digression then. Bad smells, bad socks, okay. As I was writing this very script for today's programme and coming up with that convoluted link, I was on a train. And I thought, this train really doesn't smell very nice. It just smells a bit like sweaty socks. And, basically trains, probably in any part of the world, can ming a little bit, can't they? They just sometimes have that slightly worn-in smell. As I was getting off the train, I couldn't help looking at the guy who was sitting behind me. There he is, with his shoes off, with his socks. Of course, he's sitting behind me, so his feet were directly under my seat. And I feel really icky just talking about it now. So he could have done with some nanoparticles in his socks. Yes, there you go, Anya. I've got it back on script. Thank you. Gross, though.
Indeed. Socks aren't the only thing, though. Do you know that titanium dioxide can be a more effective ingredient in sunscreen if it's present as nanoparticles rather than larger particles? So when you buy your sunscreen, it will say it has nanoparticles in it. And you've got other products, agricultural pesticides, animal feed supplements, food packaging that we've obviously been talking about, dietary supplements, water purification systems. Your toothpaste has nanoparticles, milk bottles for babies, cosmetics, obviously, and they've been used in hairbrushes for years and years and years. It stops your hair getting as greasy.
That stuff gets everywhere. So one would assume, I hope they're safe. Do we know? I mean, putting all these metals into things, is it safe?
Well, look, there have been limited studies. Nanoparticles will potentially cause more problem because they have a bigger surface area to volume ratio than bigger silver particles. So that is really where the thinking comes that they could cause problems. There's also evidence to suggest that greener production, so the way that Federico is making his nanoparticles, they pose less risk. But we just simply don't know. The EU Commission says about this, the toxicity of silver, including nanoparticles of silver, to humans is generally low. Skin contact with textiles containing silver is one of the main ways people are exposed to silver nanoparticles. In general, consumer products release only small amounts of silver, not resulting in significant health effects. Remember, it's also found in water, though, and this is an issue. Could there be any environmental toxicity? So silver release at concentrations toxic to some aquatic organisms is possible, although unlikely. The general feeling, though, is simply need more research into this area.
Okay. And until then, keep your shoes on, folks, on trains. Thank you for that. And thank you, Anya, for that too.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
This is a message from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was getting frustrated by your forms. Now, Taxes is uploading your forms with a snap, and a TurboTax expert will do your taxes for you. One who's backed by the latest tech, which cross-checks millions of data points for absolute accuracy, all of which makes it easy for you to get the most money back, guaranteed. Get an expert now at TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. See guaranteed details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
Now, if doing the right thing sometimes seems like hard work, then you'll certainly like the platform we're going to have a quick chat about now. Arab.org is a place where you can donate to good causes with the click of a button. Nothing particularly new or novel there, I guess, but what Arab.org does is a bit different from your usual fundraising website. For one thing, it's also a portal for the NGO community, which makes it easier for NGOs to engage with people who like what they do. And the platform helps sort out some of these NGOs' corporate functions as well. And the whole click to donate thing is a bit different too, as our very own Anya has been hearing from Arab.org founder Alexander Neme.
Arab.org is a domain which is, has a lot of stories behind it, actually since 1996. But nowadays it is a story of civil society, of being able to donate for free to causes dear and near to everyone's hearts.
So how does this work?
It is actually two separate platforms. The first platform is civil society organization platform, where we give corporate tools to NGOs, non-profits, cooperatives around the 22 countries of Arab states. And on the second platform, it is the Click to Help platform, where people can anonymously, without effort, without money, without cash, no registration, just click a button and automatically generate funding for causes dear to them.
So literally a click of a button and the organisation, say the UN or Greenpeace or a charity, will get a couple of cents.
Absolutely. You are absolutely correct. So the 6 causes that are enabled for the Click to Help platform is the beneficiaries are as follows. UNICEF for children, and then you have the UNRWA for the Palestinian refugees, and then you have the Fighting Poverty for UNDP, then you have the UN Women for women's empowerment, and then you have the Environment for Greenpeace, as well as the UNHCR for refugees.
But if you have the money and want to, you can actually donate as well.
Absolutely, and we encourage you to do so. So what happens, after you click the button, you reach a thank you landing page. From there, there's a button where you could see proof of payment, or you could see the results, or even do more, where it will direct you directly, forgive the terms, to the actual beneficiary. That means directly to the UN website, where you can donate straight to them.
Your t-shirt says, join the largest community of good in the Middle East. How large is your community?
So let's put some numbers. So we are 4,000 NGOs as part of our repository, the directory. We have over 2 million impressions per month. The visitors counts is all done by Google Analytics and Quantcast. So the numbers are in the millions just by the sheer value of the number of clicks we receive monthly.
Alexander Neme there. And I'm listening to that interview. I thought it was fascinating, but I'm still just trying to get an idea of how it works. Now, I get the idea that, yes, you can click a button if you, for instance, if you like the UN or whatever, as you explained back to Alexander in that interview. But kind of like where the money comes from, what the process is here. So can you just take us through that again, if you like?
So there's the one aspect of the website where you can actually make a donation, right? That's easy enough. You go to your favourite charity website, it's donate now, big flashing button usually somewhere on the site, very prominent, dead easy to do. Now, the click to donate, that is different. So it's not actually costing you money, right? So you imagine you click a link on a funding site or a cashback site, because you can do this for charity donation or you can earn money yourself. So you click on a link on a funding or cashback site to shop at a specific store. You then make a purchase on that link, on that website. It has to be that one. You can't go to a different one. It has to go through that cashback or funding site. The funding site receives a commission from the store and then donates a portion of that commission to your chosen charity or back to you. Now, why do brands participate in this? Brands are incentivized to participate because they gain exposure and traffic to their websites, and therefore potentially they are increasing their sales, aren't they? Platforms, the cashback sites, act as an intermediary connecting users with brands, facilitating the donation process. So that's it, really. I mean, lots and lots and lots of big charities do this, lots and lots and lots of big companies do this, but also you can set up your own page.
Right. Yeah, so you can set up your own page. So supposing you're a sports club or something like that.
Yeah, not personally, but yeah, if you're a sports club. So, for instance, if your children go to a football club, that football club can set up one of these partnerships. And what then happens is they send an email out to all the parents and say, hey, every time you shop, can you please click through this? Can you register on this site and then click through, because we'll get a donation. Now, with clubs that say might have 200 children, they'll get a few £100s a year through this. It's actually quite a lot. Imagine if you do all your online shopping. So you can, you buy your children's clothes, you buy their shoes, you buy stationery that you need, you buy your cat food from a certain website, your Christmas tree if you celebrate Christmas. It can very quickly add up, but also those are the tiny little donations, and sometimes these sites also do like a big offer. So I don't know, Gareth, it's coming up to the end of the financial year here in the UK, isn't it? And I'm being a bit bombarded from banks and building societies saying, open up a tax-free cash instant saver account, is a special type of account in the UK, with us. Everyone's trying to grab a bit of that business. And through these cashback sites, you can actually earn quite a bit of money. Some are offering, £100, £200 to open up a cash ISA. Yes, you have conditions. Yes, you have to put in a certain amount of money, which is a few £1,000s usually. Yes, you have to keep it with them for a certain amount of time. But if you work the system and you're clever...
Yeah, which I think reading between the lines, you are, Anya. I think you do a lot of this, is what you're saying.
I do.
But hey, you've got a family, and especially if you're buying airfares for the whole family, for instance.
We bought our kitchen through a cashback. I mean, it was a tiny amount, right? It was something like 0.75%. But when you are spending quite a lot of money on a kitchen, that 0.75% actually ends up being quite a lot. When you buy an appliance for a white good, for your, if you're buying a washing machine, again, it doesn't sound like much. I mean, I bought a cooker for my mum and they got something like £8 back. Doesn't sound like much, but hey, you do it every day. It all adds up.
It's going to pay for some treats or a meal or some more flights. Yeah, no, I get it. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Noted. So the things we do for you, dear listener, on this podcast, we even give you, we're not regulated anyway, so we don't give you real financial advice. Otherwise, you could sue us. But nonetheless, a few little life hacks there from Anya. Thanks very much, Anya. Now, look, I know it can seem a little bit icky when people tell you to build your own brand, but then being successful is quite nice too. So when someone who's done rather well has 7 top tips that you too can use to succeed, It's definitely worth a listen. Maha Abouelenein is a personal branding expert and CEO and founder of global communications consulting firm Digital and Savvy. Her book, 7 Rules of Self-Reliance, has become a bestseller. So, yeah, you might say she knows what she's talking about. And Anya has been hearing more.
So I wrote this book to really help people learn how to invest in themselves. I believe that we have the power, thanks to technology, to really transform ourselves, reinvent ourselves at any age, at any stage, and also acquire knowledge for free. So the book is about 7 rules that you can do to invest in yourself. So one of them is investing in yourself to learn. You can learn anything for free on the internet. YouTube are for free, podcasts are for free. What are you doing every single day to invest in yourself? Another rule of the book talks about the power of being a long-term player. What do you need to do to build relationships and build a network? So I don't have to rely on your network, Anya, if I need something, right? How can I do that through social media? How can I master the art of the DM on LinkedIn or through my social media networks? There's an incredible amount of opportunity for you to network through technology to people that you can meet. Even think about your coworkers on Zoom. Do you network with them at all or not? And how do you do that? And how do you master the art of communicating with them online, getting it off into an email, getting it into a meeting in real life and in person?
Do you think that we're now at the stage with tech that unless you are networking online, unless you're making those connections online and putting yourself out there, that you're falling behind?
Yeah, I believe very strongly, it's the largest chapter in the book. It's treat your reputation like a currency, like what's its worth, what's its value. You must invest in building your personal brand. It's not a nice to have, it's a must have. It has nothing to do with being a social media influencer. Personal branding is about idea promotion, not self-promotion. It's about thought leadership. And I want people to understand, take the term personal branding and replace it with the word reputation. And don't you care about your reputation? And so I think if you can build a strong personal brand, whether it's in real life or online, that's what builds trust, it builds credibility, it builds relatability. And the most important thing is authenticity. And even in a world full of AI, where AI can make everything fast and analyze data and do all these things, it doesn't have that authenticity piece. And authenticity is what involves intent. That's human experiences, lived experiences, emotions, values, interests, and that only comes from human-to-human interaction.
And how do you make yourself be real online? Because I think there is this kind of fear or maybe a skepticism that you look at someone's profile, say on LinkedIn, or you check their Insta and you think, really are they doing that? Is that what they're like in real life? I mean, How do you put yourself out there in a way that you're going to be believable and that you are putting the truth out?
Yeah, I think that's the key. The reason why a lot of people don't want to build their personal brands is they see people doing it who aren't experts, who are cringeworthy. But I feel like you got to have the courage to do it anyways, right? You have to face that fear of like, I don't want to do it because I want people to judge me or I'm waiting for permission to do these things. I really believe everybody has something of value to offer. Everybody has an expertise. You have so many lived experiences you just told me about, Anya. That's an expertise people need to learn. How do you do storytelling? How do you find the purpose in the message? How do you find the facts in a mission? I think that's just critical right now, that people crave learning from experts. If you have expertise, you should share it with the world.
And how do you decide what your platform should be? Because I think people also are quite afraid.
Yes.
You don't know where to go to. Do I go on Facebook? Should I go to Threads? What's that all about? I mean, blue skies.
Yeah, I think honestly, it's a really good question. Think about what makes you comfortable, right? Are you comfortable? I wasn't in the beginning of my career comfortable being on camera, so I did podcasts. I like to tell stories. I like my voice. I like to talk. I like to connect with other people. So that makes me feel comfortable. Then I started doing videos because I think it's a more human connection by doing that. If you like to write, then maybe you can just write posts on LinkedIn or write a blog. Or if you like photography and you prefer pictures, you need to find a platform that you can do consistently and that comes easy for you. If it seems like a lot of work, you won't do it. Right? And I think the most important part about building your personal brand or protecting your reputation or telling people who you are and what you're about, you have to be doing it consistently. I can't just show up once a month and assume that you're going to remember who I am and what I care about. Invest in your personal brand today. It matters.
That's Maha Abouelenein talking to Anya with those, with a bit of life hacking advice. So we've turned into a bit of an advice shop in this edition, Anya.
We have a bit, haven't we? I also think this kind of brings us back a little bit to the AI vanity searching that I was doing the other week, and really thinking about how you're portrayed online, because so much now is automatic, and you really have to think about how am I portrayed out there on websites that can be scraped, that perhaps potential employers, potential colleges, universities are checking out, if they want to offer me a place. So I think it's quite important just to keep checking that nothing nefarious has crept in, nothing that you might think, oh, actually no, or something that's untrue, because that can also happen. And really think about how you want to be seen online.
So brands come in lots of different shapes and sizes. So there's your kind of personal brand, then there's your organisational brand, or even, Anya, your podcast brand. Somewhere on Earth, for instance, might spring to mind. Might you say we have a brand? I
kind of think we do. And we try and, highlight some of the stories that we do with little clips that we create on Canva. Anyone on social media who creates them will know what that is. And I'm always very conscious about trying to not use at everyone or at highlight and all these kind of tags that then push out us to people who might not be getting us. But also it's something we have to do from time to time, because we've got to get ourselves out there. We no longer have the backing of the BBC behind us, and we really need to shout to say, hey, we're here, come and listen to us.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, so I mean, we are turning into an advice shop here, but let's say, Andy, put you on the spot here a little bit. What's one thing that you've learnt, or one bit of advice you might pass on to people who want to build either a personal brand, or they're launching a podcast, or going into a crowded marketplace in any context and trying to make a bit of noise about themselves and gain traction? Have you just learnt like one thing? It can be a do or indeed a don't.
I think accepting the fact that no matter how good you think your content is, and how good you think your little clip is, or how good you think your little video is, it won't necessarily get traction. It's very hard to decipher now what might gain traction, and what, say, even 5 years ago you had some idea of how the algorithm might work. It is very much a case of like, I have no idea. We hit 7,000 downloads this month, right? I haven't really done anything that different, but we seem to have done that. Next month, we could be down to 5. We just don't know. And I think it's accepting that sometimes things are beyond your control, and also accepting that some of these big brands do buy in likes, do buy in views, do buy in shares to get where they are. And that's just the way it is.
Right. Anya, thank you very much indeed for that. Lovely. Okay, well, that'll do for this edition from Tuesday, the 1st of April, 2025. I'm sure you know the contacts and the socials by now, but just very briefly, if you want to email us, we're hello@somewhereonearth.co. On WhatsApp, we're code 447486329484. We are, of course, a proud partner of the Evergreen Podcast Network. Our production manager is Liz Turi, the editor, and kind of everything else really is Anya, and branding lead. And I'm some guy called Gareth. See you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hi, everyone. It's Michael Calore, Director of Consumer Tech and Culture at Wired, here with my colleagues, senior writer Lauren Good.
Hello.
And Wired contributor Zoe Schiffer.
Hey, everyone.
We're here to tell you about our new podcast, Uncanny Valley, a show about the people, power, and influence of Silicon Valley.
Every week, we get together to talk about how technology and culture from the Valley is influencing our everyday lives.
We dig into questions like, will we ever get our privacy back? Is OpenAI for real? And how are Silicon Valley billionaires impacting U.S. elections?
The first episode of Uncanny Valley comes out on October 31st. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.